Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Derrick Pierce, and you are now listening to the Scholar and the Sinner Show. To my right, your left.
Today, it's a repeat. Today, I am KIP Foley. I am KIP Kind. I am KIP Love, because he was Dude Love. Cactus KIP, because he was Cactus Jack.
And why are you KIP Foley today?
So last Friday, it was my birthday.
Yes, it was.
I traveled through space around the sun and started where I began, right? But ended up where I began. I traveled around the sun, right? So I posted a video on Instagram, and friend of the show, the beautiful, amazing Samantha Mack, we love you, Samantha Mack. She conveyed a message to Mick Foley about my birthday, because I said something about my dad, and Mick sent me a birthday. It was just a birthday message, and my first response was, I'm gonna put this shit on Instagram. That's Mick Foley. Yeah. But then I decided not to share it because
for you.
Yeah, because it was so special and it was so loving. Mick Foley has a Christmas room.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's set up like Christmas all year long.
Yes.
This dude dresses up like Santa Claus
every year,
and he's taking classes to learn how to write calligraphy.
Yes.
So that he can write letters back to kids that write Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Mick Foley for president, everybody.
The world would be a better place.
Look, man, what he said was so loving, and you know,
he has so much compassion. He's a wonderful human being.
Like, you're a celebrity, right? But people, yeah, I know.
Okay, we'll run with it for the sake of the bit. But go ahead.
But the point is that people only know you through the media, right? And I remember watching fucking the Undertaker throw Mick Foley's ass off the top of the steel cage, and everybody's like, "Oh, wrestling's fake." No, it's predetermined.
Yeah,
predetermined and fake. That, I think, he had a broken jaw.
Just
because
ribs. They say go with it, don't mean it don't hurt.
Them broken ribs weren't fake. All those injuries, and like, my experience with him was through the media,
right?
But he literally transcended the media because the man cares about his fans.
100%.
Yeah.
People really have no idea.
I was like,
this guy eats, breathes, and sleeps it.
He loves his fans. I was like, oh man. And what he said to me is something that I will cherish, because I didn't think that it was going to come.
Yeah.
And good old Samantha. Samantha Mack is a beast.
She is.
We love Samantha Mack.
Hell yeah. So you had a good birthday.
Had a really good birthday.
Yeah. What'd you do for your birthday?
Well, the first day I kind of chilled. The second day I found myself at a party with somebody whose name I'm not going to say.
Were you practicing social distancing at this party?
I was practicing. No, I was not. Were you at the party? I distinctly remember. You will not confirm nor deny, huh?
I do not recall.
You weren't in that jacuzzi with a bunch of half naked women, were you?
They may have been half naked,
okay.
But I was practicing social distancing, and my eyesight's a little bad.
You know what? You are kind of nearsighted, so the bitches like they was across the room for you.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Yeah, but
felt like 16 feet, not 6 feet.
She was sitting on your lap, son.
Was she?
Yeah. So and it was a friend of ours' birthday, but like, her birthday was right after, but it felt like it was kind of like it was both of ours.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, somebody was nice enough to get you a cake.
Yes, I got a cake. My brother got me a cake. It was great. Yeah,
and you got to hang out with a bunch of
really pretty half naked women. It was awesome.
Yeah, in a jacuzzi, in a pool,
in Beverly Hills,
and then in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. And you were hanging out until like 1 o'clock in the morning? Yeah,
no. So you want me to?
I don't care.
All right, so this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. You got to watch. Just pay attention when you're hanging out with this guy, right? So he's in the room doing what he does, right? And it sounds
practicing customer relations.
Yeah, exercising his pelvic thrust, right? And it sounds like a fucking murder is happening there. It sounds like a fight. I was like, yo, that sounds real domestic violence and shit, right? So it was me, this young brother, and this pretty blonde chick, right? So then he walks out of the room, fully dressed. I was like, how the fuck did you do that? It was like Superman in the phone booth, right?
But reverse,
right?
Right.
Walks out of the room fully dressed, and he taps the blonde on the shoulder. He's like, yo, what's up? And she looked at me and she did one of these. Grabbed her phone and went in the room, and the other girl was already in there. Next thing I know, it was like smack, 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 smack. All this moaning and groaning and shit. I was like, man, I need to take my black ass home. What am I doing here?
But you didn't go home.
No, because I was watching a movie, and then
you refused to let anything interrupt your movie
because it had to be unbothered. I had to act like I was unbothered, right? But then the brother that I was with kind of disappeared. He blended off into some other girl's room, and I was left on the couch by myself. And I was like, "Fuck that! I'm finishing my movie." And then I went to bed. 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
After all the ruckus that was happening.
Yeah.
All the horizontal wrestling that was happening.
There wasn't a lot of horizontal going on.
Shit, man. I can imagine.
It was like
you was juggling vagina is what you was doing.
It was vertigo.
You was vagina juggling.
It happens.
It
happens.
Hey.
There was a lot to be had, and then you went to sleep.
Yeah, I went to sleep. I took my happy ass in the other room because it was like what five bedrooms in this house. I just took my happy ass in the wing and just called it a night.
Yeah, and then I jumped up and down on your bed to wake you up.
Yeah,
and
man.
Get coffee with us.
I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I was like, oh shit. Oh. It was D and an angel. Woke me up in the morning. D and an angel. Like I looked at D. I was like, oh shit. I looked at the angel. I was like, oh. Okay.
We went and got coffee.
Good. And we went and got coffee.
And then I almost lost control in the canyon. Scared the shit out of Kip.
Oh, man. Well, it's because you drive like it's the Indy 500 no matter where we're going. We're in a fucking school zone and you're
It was like a Saturday or Sunday. It was Sunday.
Yeah, it was school. It was Sunday, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You drive like you're running from the cops all the time.
That's what traction control is for.
Hey. If you lost it, I would have just been like, yeah.
Shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah. Well, the roads were
because I know you'd be like, fuck this car, I'll just go get another one or some shit.
That's why they have insurance. White people do that.
True. I got insurance too. Is that white of me, or is that just?
Do you have liability, or
I got full coverage, buddy.
You should.
All the way full coverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
You absolutely should, especially in Beverly Hills.
You know how much D loves me? He wouldn't let me walk to my car at 3:00 in the morning in Beverly Hills.
Because I told him it could be very dangerous for my African American brother to be leaving Beverly Hills in the canyons by himself.
And I thought about that shit.
At 3:00 in the morning. I was only looking out for his safety. White people are fucking crazy.
White people are fucking crazy.
Out of their ever-loving mind.
What a segue.
I couldn't help but that was a fucking softball.
Yeah, that was a softball. That was you set that up to be volleyball spiked, man.
Yeah.
So
speaking of crazy and white people,
George Floyd.
That's it's a real tragedy.
Right.
I know we started out real light and shit like that, but the shit show is that it's just another fucking tragedy, and I think that at some point in time, people are well, at least some people are going to become somewhat numb to this. And kind of go like, again, and then they're going to go about their day.
Right.
And that's going to be a really sad day that happens.
So I'm going to disagree with you when I say that some people may become numb, right? But people that look like me are not going to become numb, right?
Really?
I disagree. I think what happens is because there's such a precedent set, like especially since there is a detailed video of a man
100%
taking his last breath while bystanders are there with cell phones. And then he said, I can't breathe, which is literally the same thing that Eric Gardner said when the police officer put that chokehold on him, right? Yeah. And like it's a really weird space for me, right? Because there's like this anger, there's anxiety, and there's sadness about this. Like Ahmaud Arbery seemed like it was an outlier, right? He has some white supremacists that hunted him down and killed him. We live in Los Angeles, California. I'm relatively safe, right? I can be at
naive.
Least
from that situation.
I can be naive about that situation.
You say, wow, that shit happened in the South. I guess I'll be okay.
But Greg Floyd was pulled over for forgery.
Right.
Forgery.
Which is
fucking forgery.
Yeah, which is
non-violent,
non-aggravated.
Did not have a weapon.
Right.
Was already handcuffed. There were 3 police officers on his body.
Right. And one standing over them.
And one standing over him. Right. Like the fact that this man could dehumanize another man while he's begging and crying for his life and keep that knee on his neck. Right. Like, what would you have done standing there?
We've had this conversation a couple of times. And it's my firm belief that at some point in time, people need to stop watching and they need to do something about it.
Right.
And I ain't talking about marching.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that unfortunately, we're at a point, it's my personal opinion, we're at a point where locals are going to start taking action. And those officers, whether they are in the right or wrong, are going to be on the receiving end of a really bad bad situation.
Right.
All because other officers do not know how to conduct themselves appropriately. And for us to say that this is an isolated incident is a misnomer, because it's consistently isolated incident after apparent isolated incident.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. And that's why we say, I mean, you know, when you say that there was one that had some sort of pre-existing
condition.
Yes, where it was something having to do with his asthma or something like that. And something happened. They may have gone a little bit hard on him. The dude ended up dying.
Right.
I would unfortunately call that a tragedy, an avoidable one, which they still should be held responsible for,
right.
but a tragedy nonetheless. This is not a tragedy by those standards.
No, that's like, but
this
still,
is calculated, and this was under control.
Right.
And this was something that I think was done with, I won't even say maliciousness, because it was just a matter of circumstance and fact that he's like, I'm just gonna put my fucking knee on him like I put my knee on everybody else.
Right.
It's what I do. Shut the fuck up. You can talk so you can breathe.
Yeah. But there are people standing there,
right,
saying, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? Take your knee off his neck. Take your knee off his neck. Like we run into this problem again where you have these authority figures that can totally dehumanize the group of people that they're policing. Like, how would he feel if that was his brother, or if that was his cousin, if that was his uncle?
We would never stand for
it. And the other cops are just standing there like, this is not a fucking crime, right?
Right. This is procedure.
Right. And forgery is not a death-worthy trespass.
It isn't.
None of
outside of you threatening that person, forget officer, that person's life at that moment. I'm sorry, I don't see the point.
So let's just say this, right? So let's say that the knee wasn't in his back, because the first time I saw the video, I could only see the police officer who had his knee on his neck. I didn't see the other two police officers on his body.
No, I didn't either.
So the fact is, he's handcuffed, right? What it would be the worst that could happen if they let him get up? What is he going to do? Run 3 miles with his hands behind his back?
Nothing
Like,
is
what's the worst that could
happen?
happen, right? Like, all this excessive force is, like, Michael Rappaport made the point to say that you would never see this happen to some Jewish man in Manhattan.
To some 42-year-old Jewish man in New York, you would never see it happen.
Because we're talking about a non-violent crime and someone that is totally and completely unarmed, that was pulled over, who was a suspect and not convicted. Right? He's not convicted of this crime at all. Man, I
think you hit it right, that it comes to a point of where certain people have now become pretty much dehumanized into an item, an article, just an entity and not a person.
Right.
And
because, you know, in Oakland, when Oscar Grant was murdered, right, he was also handcuffed. Oscar Grant was handcuffed, and the police officer, that's Fruitvale Station. This took place in Fruitvale Station.
Right. Which they actually made a movie about.
Right, absolutely. This is 2009. So what happens is, he's handcuffed. There was no need to tase him. The officer said he was reaching for his taser and, mistakenly confused the taser with the gun and shot him in the back.
Which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, like, you're tasing him because he's talking? Like, bro, like what are we talking about? And everybody was mad at Colin Kaepernick. Our president.
Well, that's the biggest thing right now. They're putting out, which knee would you prefer us to take?
Right. Like, our president said some dumb shit when he was running for president, right? About how, I would fire all of them.
Yeah, he would be thrown out, throw his ass out, fire
him, and all that other shit. And all Colin Kaepernick was trying to do was draw attention to this specific, like, social ill, this specific disgusting part of our society. Right. And then everybody was criticizing him and all this other shit. And now what? Here we are.
I actually heard somebody I didn't hear them. I read this, people criticizing him because they said, he made all that noise back then. Where is he now?
Yeah.
What do you want the fucking guy to do?
Right.
Like, should he break out his Superman cape underneath his fucking clothes and then show up on scene and be like, this is why I was taking a knee? I don't know why he is the one that has to carry the weight.
No. And especially for someone, as an athlete that draws attention, I think he did his job. Because now what?
Oh, they're saying, what I read was, the person I read it from was like, where's, he's got all this money and all this resources. I'm like, in case you don't know, fucknuts, he actually puts a lot of that money and resources into his program, right? Which is creating awareness,
right? So here we are in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is, there were over, I think, 90,000.
It's a metropolitan city.
90,000 cities, incorporated cities across the United States, right? Minnesota, Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken, is either number 46 or 48. It's either the 46th or 48th largest city in the entire country. There are almost 500,000 people there. So we have one of the largest cities in the country.
Right.
That's in social unrest because of injustice.
Which they rioted.
Because of racism.
Well, they are rioting.
Right, and rioting. And our fucking president is upset
about Twitter.
Is upset about Twitter. Is upset about Twitter putting the fact check button under his name.
Which is ironic because this is his platform of choice.
Yeah,
he chose Twitter.
Right.
He makes world decisions in 140 characters or less.
And
like this is how he creates fucking social and national policy and even international policy.
Right.
140 characters.
140 characters or less. Man, look, here we are. It's not even summertime yet. There's Minneapolis has a shelter in place order, right? It has a shelter in place order. And when people are outside violating the shelter in place order, it just puts them in closer proximity to the police officers. I'm starting to feel like all of this shit is just a huge setup. I know I said this like the week prior, but it's starting to feel like what it does is it puts, the person that's considered to be, they fit the description, right? Because like the stereotype is that this black individual can harm me. I swear that this shit is always based on fear, and my anxiety is rooted in the fact that I'm 6'2" and I'm 230 pounds, and the average police officer is usually a bit smaller than me, and I could end up a fucking hashtag because this dude is terrified. Right? Like my master's degree means nothing.
No.
The 154 8th graders, 13-year-olds that I mentor and teach every single day doesn't mean shit.
Right.
I could literally end up a fucking hashtag. Like this is like the reality. And then here we go. It's like, do I just go about my life and act like this shit is impossible?
And that's why I was saying is that people become numb, and you're saying I won't ever become numb. You're an intellectual person. But how many times does it take for you before you become numb? How many times does a sniper have to kill somebody before they become numb, before it just becomes sights, wind, velocity, kill?
Right.
And that's my confirmed kill.
Yeah.
Not that it was a person, not that it was for a function, not that that person was going to kill me. It's just this is my job and this is what I do. At what point in time do we just go, well, I'm fucking cops.
Yeah.
And then we give them, and I mean them collectively, a pass.
Right.
Just like I was showing you the guy with the bat inside the Walmart.
Oh, man.
Dude gets shot in the chest because he has a baseball bat. But apparently the cop was pursuing him within the store instead of waiting for backup.
So there are other armed security guards and police officers in the store.
Right.
They're armed. And they did not engage this person because...
And he hadn't actually swung the bat at anybody.
Right. Because it's a baseball bat. How do we diffuse a baseball bat? Distance, right? Distance, right? All you gotta do is get away from the baseball bat. The baseball bat's not gonna lay on the ground and chase you across the street.
He wasn't chasing anybody in the store.
Now, and I think he had some type of mental health issue also.
I believe I read that he was a schizophrenic.
Right, he was completely out of his mind.
And if you watch the video, you can see
that he's out of his mind, right?
Head.
So he did swing the bat at the police officer, but that's because the police officer was on some cowboy shit, like put the bat down, and went there by himself. He didn't wait for any backup.
And he said, you didn't comply.
Right.
So I shot you.
There is another video from, I think 2 years ago of a Latino male in Covina beating on the glass of the police station.
Swinging for the fences.
Yeah. And he got tackled. Right,
like he got blasted.
He got all the blasted. he got Ray Lewis, right? He got open field hit, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, how come that shit wasn't an option with this dude that's out of his mind with the baseball bat? Like, what made this cop think? Was it his gun that made him feel powerful enough
100%.
to go? I'm gonna stop this shit.
This is just my opinion, but it's not the badge. It's not the uniform. It's not the PR-24, which is the nightstick.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the handcuffs. It's not necessarily even the numbers. It's the fact that they have a weapon that can put you 6 feet under at the drop of a dime.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the toughness
Right.
comes in.
Right.
And there's a lot of cops that are badass motherfuckers without it.
True.
And they're the ones that are not involved in these fucking things.
Right.
And they're the ones, but part of my problem, and I don't mean to include them, I know many cops that are fucking good people. But part of the problem is if you are the number 2, 3, and 4 officer participating, well, the number 1's got his knee on the dude's
Right,
neck.
you're complicit.
Then you are the fucking same.
Yeah, you're complicit, right?
Because if I don't do something about it,
Right.
then who is going to save me?
If me, you, and 2 other guys break into a house, right? And then I commit a murder, I kill the person in there. They're charging all of us with murder,
100%.
right? Like those other cops are not off the hook. The motherfucker that was standing there telling everybody to get back while they're trying to intercede for the dude that's dying, and the 2 other guys that are holding his body, that are holding him down. All of them are complicit in the crime. One of my friends posted this meme, and I thought it was interesting. It says, being black is having a good day, and then seeing another black person killed for no reason, then having to talk about it all day long, or don't, and numb yourself as if you don't have a constant emotional war. And I was like, holy shit.
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh my God.
You feel me? Like that's the becoming numb.
Right. You know, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said that. But you also, off camera, we talked about like, you know, what could be a possible solution to this?
See, I'm a bit of a fuck with me enough times, and we're gonna get them things.
Right. And you know, that sentiment is terrifying because I'm online and I'm seeing people talking about arming themselves.
Right. And it's not to arm themselves against robbery or against theft, or against somebody even threatening your life. That's not a police officer.
Right. The point is that the police officers aren't God, and your life and your safety we'll talk about the legal ramifications later. But the fact that you're breathing is more important than some shit that can be argued out in a courtroom.
I know there are more than a handful of really good criminal attorneys that could use these activities that have happened to these civilians as precedents to why a person of color defended themselves with lethal force because they had the preemptive thought process that they would die.
Right. But
the cop pulled me over. He had his hand on his gun. I was scared for my life.
Right.
Like the dude that just got killed last week. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Therefore, I defended myself.
Right. See, like, you know, so I'm on my bike and I get pulled over.
Right.
And some 5'8" cop is terrified just by looking at me. Right.
Right.
Like, this is literally a thought that comes into my mind. This is something I cannot avoid. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here thinking like, well, holy shit, is this my day? You know what? The worst part is that it seems really random, but there's no such thing as random consistency. Right? Shit that happens over and over and over again. That is not random. There's no such thing as random consistency. Like we're talking about, okay, fine. We're talking about Ahmaud Arbery, who was hunted and killed in Georgia. Black person killed for no reason, right? And then we're talking about, you know, George Floyd, who was killed in broad daylight. No reason.
With an audience.
Yeah, with an audience, right? Like indiscriminately murdered, right? And then we have all these other examples of it going on and on and on and on. That's not random. That's consistent. So why not me? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not?
No, I get it. And that's why I had said to you off camera, I said, what would happen if there was an entity with the strength and poise of a group like the original Black Panthers, but they opened it up and they made it a community-based activity, so it wasn't just African American, but it was Latin or Asian or other white people, and they started not just creating, you know, an air of you know, we want to march. No, fuck that. We're gonna secure our neighborhood. You can talk to us when you want to come into our neighborhood and police our neighborhood because we are the front runners of this neighborhood. And what are the police going to do when these communities, especially communities that are rough around the edges,
Right.
start telling them you're not welcome here.
Right.
If you got a problem with somebody in this neighborhood, you talk to me.
Right.
Because that's how the street runs.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's that street shit.
Yeah, there's all these videos of the police officers in Minneapolis firing tear gas, right?
At the demonstrators.
And pepper spray or whatever the fuck they firing, right? At the demonstrators, and them throwing bricks at cars and shit, right? And that's not what you're talking about. You're not necessarily talking about civil unrest. What you're talking about is making sure that the police are the last resort, right? Because like the police officers don't know this person in the community.
No, but the whole reason why Black Panthers came to fruition
was to police the police,
right? Because the police were out of control.
Right.
And now listen, there's some social media adherence to this because it's sensationalized that it's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is, if it was just out of control and somebody was getting lumped up before they get locked up,
right?
I've been lumped up before I got locked up too.
Yeah.
So I take the lumps and I keep it moving. But that's not what's happening. Right. There are people that are ending up in hospitals, that are ending up with potentially long-term damage and dead.
Right.
And that is a problem.
Yeah.
So when these multicultural groups can step forward and create a certain amount of force in a community, you fucking with a different type of beast.
It's a different beast. You know, what I'm afraid of, right, is that, you know, fear is the highest form of capital now, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure if these media outlets are basically monetizing outrage.
Of course they are.
So what happens is that the outrage is not really genuine outrage. It's just a people's...
it's sensationalized.
Right, because outrage should lead to corrective action. If you're outraged, things should be fixed. That's the way it should work, right? But what happens is that this outrage becomes more of a catharsis. People just kind of say, oh, that's fucked up, and then take a deep breath and go on with their lives, because I would be remiss if I didn't bring up what happened in Chicago over Memorial Day. Now, there were 49 people shot, right? Of which there were 10 fatalities, and one of them was a 16-year-old kid.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to talk about the social degradation, the things, because this is black on black crime. These are people that look like me killing people that look like me. I'm not going to talk about the causes of these things versus what happened in Minnesota. But what I am saying is that if death is death, we should be outraged across the board. We should be, because like realistically, it's fantastic that, you know, everyone that's an ally is insulted, right? But my God, man, what's gonna happen when it gets hot outside? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's gonna happen when people are in the streets and like you got fucking people in Minneapolis throwing bricks at cop cars? Then what? You know what I mean? I'm seeing all these memes, people getting guns and shit. I'm like, yo, where the fuck are we going with this shit?
Listen, there's a thought process that says that, you know, I forgot exactly how it goes, but it's basically like, oh, look at what's happening to those people over there. That really sucks for them. I'm gonna keep going about my day because that's not my problem.
Catharsis.
What that really sucks that now this is happening to those people that are a little closer to me. But guess what?
Right.
It's not my problem.
It's not my problem.
I'm gonna keep going about my day.
Right.
What happens when it makes its rotation to you? And now what was not your problem is your fucking problem, because you didn't give a shit when it wasn't your problem.
Yeah, it was a fire, but it wasn't burning your house down.
And there won't be anybody left to help you.
Yeah, now there won't be any. Good. I like that, D. There won't be anybody left to help you, like, because sympathizing is not enough.
No,
right?
There has to be action.
It has to be
but
action.
Then the question is, what's the action?
Then,
because, see, we come from a little different background.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you jump on my brother, cop or not, and I see that you are creating bodily harm to him without any regard to his safety, and he's obviously compliant, I guess we're gonna knuckle up.
Yeah, man.
I guess we all going to jail.
I considered that, and I thought about that, because look, man, that video was hard to watch.
I don't understand how everybody could film it and nobody could do anything.
Bro, look, man, the Ahmaud Arbery video was hard to watch, but I didn't get to see a zoom in shot of his face as he died. You know what I'm saying?
And it didn't take 8 minutes.
And it didn't take 8 minutes for him to die. Like, oh my God, like that shit was ridiculous, man. Like, when is the outrage going to be enough to cause some type of social change or some type of action? Because outrage without action is useless. Yeah, outrage without any action means nothing, because then we want to go back to normal. Everybody wants to go back to normal. And I'm saying, like, okay, fine. Once the virus is over, like, can't we use this shit as motivation to never go back to whatever the fuck normal was?
There is never going to be another normal again. Yeah. Whatever that was, and wherever we're going is where we're going. I think if people, just my personal opinion, if people took more time to have a little bit of extra compassion to the person next to them, then I don't mind the us versus them.
Right.
Just make sure that it's the right us and the right them.
Right.
Because it's not my brothers like you and people of different cultural backgrounds and colors. It's the people that have all the money that are running things and that are creating dissension amongst the rest of us, and they sprinkle it just enough.
Just enough. So I mean, one of the things that I was somewhat impressed by was the mayor of Minneapolis. He came out quickly and was, first of all, it didn't take a month for those guys to get fired.
No, they got fired right away, but they should be in custody.
Yeah, it didn't take a month for them to lose their jobs. And he spoke out, and he specifically said, another black man that loses his life unnecessarily. And I thought that was pretty big of him to say that. And then I always thought, what is our president doing?
Arguing about Twitter. Saying how he's going to shut Twitter down.
So now if you scroll down, a lot of Instagram feeds, you see a bunch of black people talk about getting guns. And you think that white folks were terrified of black people before. Doesn't that make the situation just a little bit worse?
Well, that was the NRA meme that went around, right?
Right.
It's like, NRA is all inclusive, right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets a gun, right?
And there's a black dude with the AR.
And the white dudes are like, fuck my life.
Here we go. So I guess if we have to put a pin in this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know what can we say.
I don't know that civil unrest is the worst thing to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what this country, fortunately or unfortunately, was built on.
Right.
That's when things change in this country, is when there's heavy civil unrest. And the powers that be then have to succumb to that unrest and make changes. But I'm not saying go out and kill all the cops. Yeah. I'm saying that there has to be a certain amount of civil unrest.
In the black community, civil unrest has never, ever yielded any.
And I'm not talking about the black communities.
Right.
It has a straight up, without mincing words and being PC, it has to be fucking white people.
It has to be everybody.
It has to be white people.
Okay.
Come on, man. It has to be fucking white people. Because people don't give a fuck if Latinos stand up.
No, they don't.
That's their fucking problem.
Right.
People don't give a fuck if black people stand up. That's their fucking problem.
Right.
But guess what? When their fucking problem becomes your fucking problem because it's on your doorstep, now the shit changed.
Changes.
When they're done going after you, and I mean the powers that be, and they're done going after the Latinos, and they're done going after the Asian guys, I'm the next motherfucker they're coming for.
Right.
If they don't get me in the interim of all that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not necessarily a have.
Right.
I lean more on the have-nots.
Side of things.
And I'm on the fringes of those things.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to curtail things and push things into a certain perspective, I don't fit that fucking perspective. So if you think for 1 second that they ain't gonna come for you if you don't kowtow and kiss ass, you better fucking think again.
Right.
Because if you step out of line, they're going to get you. And if you think I'm lying, the next time you get pulled over, throw just a little bit of fucking attitude and watch that cop change.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that every single one of them is bad. But the problem is if you challenge the authority that they feel that they've been vested with, you're going to be in for a rude awakening.
Absolutely. And once again, we have a bunch of problems here, right? It's because the police officer is not the judge. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not the judge.
Apparently, in this case, he was the executioner.
Yeah, and if we talk about in George Floyd's case, or we talk about the dude at the Walmart, right? Like, the judgment that they made led to the death, but the judgment call that they made was a judgment call that should not have been made. To engage a baseball bat wielding madman.
Your deal is to diffuse the situation.
Right. Like, why not wait for backup and figure out a better way than just to shoot this guy and then fucking perforate this dude, right? To continue to, like, you've done some jujitsu.
Yeah.
Right? You've done a lot of jiu-jitsu. You understand what it means to collapse someone's airway, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea that, he's talking, he's breathing is not necessarily fucking
it's
accurate.
Not just the air pathway. There's the carotid artery that you can cut off all the oxygen and the blood flow to the brain, and they will fucking die if you do it for too long.
Right. Because like that's why in the UFC when those guys get choked out, the ref makes
throws his body
to
into
get his ass
them.
off of him because you're stopping the blood flow to his brain.
In some cases, yeah. So I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. You know what I mean? And everybody's got a fucking opinion. But I can tell you that the more that the general population stand up for each other, the less that those people are going to act that way.
Right. I mean, it's the historical precedence of, being considered as a black person, being considered as 3/5 human, like I'm not a human being at all, is something that is ingrained in the American psyche that rolls over to this day, right? Like it blows my mind. It's beyond comprehension that here we are in 2020 and that this individual can be dehumanized to the point where he's literally killed in the street like a rabid dog, right? Yeah. More people would be upset if someone shot some pit bulls in the street. You know what I mean?
100%. ASPCA be all over.
Yeah, it would be like, and then, Black Lives Matter happens, and then there are anti-Black Lives Matter groups. Right? Like, what the fuck?
Because
are you serious?
all lives matter.
Yeah, all lives matter. It's like, okay, that's 100% true, but we're not talking about everybody here, right?
No,
like,
because I'm not, I am now.
Yeah.
But initially, I wasn't nearly fearful for my life if I got pulled over.
Right, and I'm not going to run down the list of these atrocities have happened, and the worst part is we will be back here again before the summer is over. There's going to be some other bullshit that happens before this time period is over. Like, we're going to be talking about this shit again. It's a girl.
What was that?
Some chick, you know what I'm saying?
Well, who calling your phone, kid?
Sometimes I get it in, you know what I mean?
I never heard that name before, kid.
Mind your business. Mind your business.
Well, it was my business because you pointed your phone at me.
I was actually peeking like...
You pointed your phone at me.
But at least I was on vibrate.
Mine's on vibrate.
Yeah, but last week or the week prior, somebody wasn't on vibrate.
I think there were a few people that weren't on vibrate.
Yeah.
Let's switch it up because I want to talk about sports and that we have a little bit of sports to talk about, which is still Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. So, all right. Mike Tyson, remember you said that he was going to do bare knuckle boxing? Yeah. And I was like, that's some bullshit. Mike should not do bare knuckle. That's fucking dumb. But then I heard bare knuckle boxing offered Mike Tyson $20 million to fight Wanderlei Silva.
And they'll make triple that.
Wanderlei Silva. Now, for those of you guys that don't know who Wanderlei Silva is, once upon a time in a mixed martial arts league called Pride, he was a marauding destroyer.
Yeah, him and his brother.
Yeah, this fucking guy was in, because they had an open weight class, and at the heaviest he was only 185 pounds, and
was he only 185?
He was only 185, and he's out there wrecking people. Yeah. He's the one that knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Right? He whooped Chuck Liddell's ass.
He knocked out a lot of people.
He knocked out a lot of people. But Wanderlei Silva is like in his late 40s. You know what people forget when they keep talking about how old Mike Tyson is? That George Foreman was 50 years old in boxing when he made a comeback. And what happens with Wanderlei Silva is that he's a mixed martial artist. Now, the mixed martial artists box, but they're not boxers.
Right.
Okay? Like, what's the heaviest this guy is going to get when at his peak he was 185, right? And in fact, he just got his ass whooped by Quentin Jackson. I love Quentin Jackson, by the way. Rampage busted his ass in like the last fight that I saw with him in it, right? And he weighed like 205 pounds. Mike is going to walk into that stupid round cage at 225. And if Wanderlei bulks up to 225,
right,
he's going to be too slow. Listen, Mike Tyson is a technician. Right?
Right.
The sweet science. Look, remember, the mixed martial artists, they box, but they're not boxers. Listen, I believe that if Wanderlei gets one, it's like Wanderlei's punches, those big looping punches, those are like a bunch of Scud missiles. Like if you put a bunch of bottle rockets in a cup, and they just kind of fire everywhere. And
he doesn't have the advantage in this.
He does not. And Mike Tyson has a laser guided H-bomb.
Well, watching that dude hit the body shield and stuff, I wouldn't want to get
Look, man, the fighting Vanderlei Silva is a softball, and we're gonna go. I would watch that shit because it's an execution. Side note,
right?
These are not 8-ounce gloves. These are not 4-ounce gloves. No. These are bare knuckles. Look. Mike doesn't need a cumulative effect of punches to actually separate this dude from his senses.
Right.
He's gonna literally punch this dude into next week. Bare knuckle boxing, holy shit. Vanderlei Silva would die.
I'm trying to see who he knocked out.
Hey, but you know what? You know who else threw his name into the hat that said he wanted to fight Mike Tyson?
Who?
Tito Ortiz.
Tito ain't got no business ever climbing in the ring again. He's got the worst fucking excuses in the world every time he's gotten his ass whooped.
The Huntington Beach bad boy.
And he's the Huntington Beach senior citizen now.
Tito is 43, maybe
44. But I broke my neck, and that's what happened, and that's why I lost.
He just
nobody knew.
His last fight, he fought Chuck Liddell,
which was pathetic to watch.
It was horrible. It was sad.
It was really painful
sad.
to watch.
And he fought that WWE guy, Alberto Del Rio. I forgot his real name. And that fight was over in 2 minutes. Right. See, one of the problems that happens here, right, is that why bare knuckle boxing would be perfect for Mike Tyson is because they're a bunch of old mixed martial artists, and these dudes, they train to do some jujitsu and to kick and to take down, and you take all that shit away, and all they have is their hands. Mike Tyson's gonna eat that dude like he's a fucking cupcake.
Well, I'm looking up on what is this sportscasting.com, and they're saying that it's actually just a rumor at this time.
Yeah. If that's a real fight, that's fucking
And it
crazy.
says, according to the article, Tyson has already turned down a $20 million offer.
Okay, cool. Part. Good.
And that Silva got offered $10 million.
Right. I mean, shoot, it's for Vanderlei Silva, $10 million in one fight is red panty night.
But
I'm saying, like, you winning that $10 million to get your... Look, the worst part about it is that it's going to be a microwave ass whooping. It's not going to be an accumulation of punches. Well, they're saying Mike Tyson has that death touch.
Well, they're saying that Tyson is actually training to get back involved in actual prize fighting boxing.
Right, and they were talking about him fighting my man from Brooklyn. What's my man's name? Big dude. They're the same age.
Is he black?
Yes.
Oh man, narrow it down either.
I can't. Damn it, man. Shannon Briggs.
Oh God, is he still fighting?
Shannon Briggs. Now, see, both those guys are.
I never thought Shannon Briggs was very good,
but he's still very powerful.
So
I don't want to see those two old guys get in there and slug it out because they're gonna give us about a round or so worth of entertainment. Mike Tyson and Shannon Briggs in the same ring. Are you kidding me? We might get a round or two.
I will bet you $1,000 that Tyson goes the distance of the fight if he doesn't knock out whoever he fights.
I would rather see him send someone like Tito Ortiz into orbit. That's what I would
rather see. Well, you just want to see the melee and the carnage.
It's going to be carnage. It's not going to be much of a melee. Look, man, people forget that Mike Tyson is known for separating people from their senses within 45 seconds. You would go to the bathroom and come back.
I think his cardio,
and the fight will be over.
I think his cardio is going to be off the chain.
Listen, man.
I think, you know what I mean? I don't think he would gas, at least for...
What I don't want to see is Mike to fight some young 30, 25-year-old
No, I think they would put together some sort of a super fight type
I don't
deal.
want to see Mike Tyson fight Francis Ngannou. No. But you know what would be dope? Fedor Emelianenko.
No, Fedor. But they would have to grapple. They would have to grapple. Fedor can't box.
But he's known for knocking people out, though.
Well, yeah, because Fedor.
I just want to see Fedor get killed. That's it.
Fedor, listen, Fedor is 5'10" this way and 5'10" this way.
True.
But
Mike Tyson's also the shortest and more small. He's like one of the smallest heavyweight champions in the modern era, right? How tall is Mike Tyson?
5'10".
About 5'10" and about 220 pounds. Like, you cannot put more muscle on that 5'10" frame at 220 pounds.
How old is he now? 60?
53.
53?
Yeah, he's 53.
He looked fucking amazing.
He looked amazing, right? Look, man, I just want to see Fedor get killed. Like, everybody talks about how wonderful he was. He would die.
First off, but then if you put Mike Tyson in MMA, Tyson don't want nothing to do with that.
And that's why he's doing bare knuckle boxing. He's friends with Dana White. He's not stepping in the octagon.
No, there's no boxer worth his fucking salt that would ever dare step in the octagon. I'll say it right to their fucking face. They won't ever do it.
Remember when Ray Mercer fought Tim Sylvia, right? They stood up right? And Tim Sylvia fired a low kick, and Ray Mercer gave him like, oh, so now we kicking now, right? And Tim Sylvia is what, 6'6", 260 pounds, and Ray Mercer put his ass to sleep with a right hand. It was like 2 punches thrown. Yeah. Why? Because he goaded him into boxing.
Okay,
and then happened? He decided to box. And this ex-UFC heavyweight champion was out cold on the canvas.
And what happened when Couture fought Tony?
When Randy Couture fought James Toney, he did the smart thing.
He did what he should do. It's MMA.
Take him down and beat him up.
Yeah.
If Randy Couture was...
James Toney is one of the most aggressive and talented inside punchers boxing has ever seen, period, end of discussion.
And if
dude
James
is a
Toney,
legend.
If Randy Couture would have stood up and didn't take down and no kicks,
he would have gotten
killed.
He would have had a real hard night.
It would have been a rough time.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I still say that Floyd Mayweather carried Conor McGregor to keep the show going. Right?
I don't know that he carried him.
He didn't do the shoulder roll that he always does. He walked forward. He had no respect for Conor's power.
He absolutely had respect for
Bullshit.
him. I'm not saying he was ever worried about losing.
No, he wasn't worried at all. I think he could have got him out of there faster.
No. No, you can't listen. I'm not saying that Conor's a world-class boxer,
right?
But his cardio and his strength is second to none,
right?
And he's awkward as fuck for a normal boxer because he's not a classically trained boxer,
right?
So the angles that he chooses and the way that he chooses to fight is not normal.
But see,
so I believe that Mayweather was pushing him into deep water so he could just have a very calm, cool, and collected transition into the win. I don't think he necessarily struggled, but McGregor got more shots off on him than any other boxer did.
He sure did, but that's also because he changed his style, right? Like, listen, Floyd Mayweather is going to go down in history as the greatest defensive boxer in the history of the sport.
I would say he's the greatest boxer.
If you get mad if you want to, but
I would say he's the greatest boxer.
When's the last time that we've ever seen him plow forward? He hasn't done that since he was in his 20s and his 30s.
He doesn't do that.
His style was completely different, and that's why I said he didn't have any respect for Conor.
Because he's a boxer.
Because he's a boxer.
Not a fighter.
He's not a fighter.
Never been
he's
a
not
fighter.
Brawling, right?
He's never been a fighter. Even don't equate fighting with brawling. Brawlers are different. Boxers box.
Right.
He's by far one of the most talented boxers in boxing history.
It's the sweet science.
And he knows the game front, back, side to side, left. That dude is, to say he's a student of the game is putting it mildly.
Mildly, right.
Okay,
right.
But that being said, there were other people back in the day, the De La Hoyas, who stopped boxing and started fighting.
Right. Right. De La Hoya changed the style.
Trinidad.
Yes. Felix Trinidad. Yes, he did.
Stood toe to toe with everybody.
Yes, he did.
Even go back to Sugar Ray Leonard, who was an amazing boxer.
Hand speed was outrageous.
Still was an amazing fighter.
Yeah. Well, after he lost, I think he fought Roberto Duran twice.
Yeah.
And after he lost that first one, I think he just like, I got to do this differently. And that was the next fight. The rematch was the No Mas fight where he beat the I don't want any more out of that dude.
Right. But the Mayweather will never be able to do that.
No. And especially since Mayweather's in his 40s.
He wants to.
So here's the thing. If it's not a mixed martial art fight, any of the mixed martial artists that step in the ring with Mike Tyson is going to be fucking lunchtime.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be It's going to be quick. Like everybody's going to pay for the pay-per-view just on the strength of Mike Tyson alone, and that shit is going to be over within 60 seconds. Right?
Who knows?
Period.
Who knows? You might actually see him have to box now.
Yeah, we'll see.
I watching him do the little bit of shit that he did. The dude can still punch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they say the power is the last thing that goes.
Well, I will say this that Mike Tyson, much like Mayweather, is probably one of the most studious athletes of his sport.
Right.
That guy knows boxing history.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't believe.
So this is what a lot of the commentators were saying, because ESPN is like they're reaching for content.
Yeah,
they
of
were
course
talking about a Mike Tyson with the mind of someone that has collected all of those boxing experiences, and also the mind of someone that's free of all those demons that was chasing. It was a time when Mike was like he's lost like 50 pounds.
Did you ever watch his stand-up?
No, it was the one-man show.
Yes.
Oh man, it's great.
It was wonderful.
It's amazing. Yeah, I was like, holy shit, who would have thought he was that talented?
When him talking about Green chasing the car and all that shit, it's fucking awesome.
It's amazing. But here we have he's like an old general at this point that still got some in the tank, and anybody that steps into the fucking ring is in trouble.
Well, it seems that his commentary so far has been, now that he has a new zest for the sport.
Right.
And that he really, really, really wants to hurt somebody.
It's interesting because like they make a big deal out of his age, and I guarantee you there's a bunch of other less profile boxers that are still in that age range that are out there
I would imagine
trying to get it in. Just trying. I think Roy Jones Jr. is still fighting.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So.
Yeah, he's overseas though. Like I think Roy Jones Jr. is still getting in there. So
I don't follow boxing enough to.
Hold on a second. The inquiring minds want to know.
What?
Right? So, Mr. Multiple Vaginas at a time.
What the hell's this got to do with boxing?
Nothing. But we only got a couple minutes left, and you gonna answer this question.
All right.
Right?
Go ahead.
So what was the sweet nothing that you whispered into old girl's ear to get her to come into the room with you and the other girl? I want to know. Spill it.
That's trade secrets, huh?
Trade secret. Listen.
Did you see what she did when I came out the room?
Look, I never saw her again after that. I wanted to look her in the face.
No. After I came out of the room to get water, you didn't see what she did?
No.
You and the other dude was looking at me like there was something wrong with me.
Because it sounded like domestic abuse in that motherfucker.
That's just a warm up.
Holy shit.
And then you didn't see her do like this?
She gave me a pound.
I was like, this is the oddest fucking thing ever. This bitch gave me a fucking pound right now. And she did like this. She was like, and I was like,
well, me and the other dude was there like, oh, fuck, are we really sitting here? And you were louder than the TV.
I wasn't.
Oh, no, you weren't louder. Those damn smacks was louder
what
than the TV.
I said to her was, so-and-so wants to know if you want to come to bed with us. And she was like, yes. And she got up and she bounced. I just walked away and she followed me like an adorable little puppy.
Yes, like an adorable little puppy. I'm mad that I didn't get to see her after that. Because I would have been like...
I saw her the next day.
I didn't see her the next day.
In the bathroom.
Oh, you hussy.
With both of them again.
Hey, would I have been wrong for slut shaming her? Or should I have given her a pound for saying...
Should have given her a pound for taking it like a champ.
Listen, taking it like a champ. Listen, leave a comment. Would I have been wrong for slut shaming her? Or or should I have given her a pound for getting what she wanted? Because there was something that she wanted and she was strong enough to say, I'm going to do this because I want to.
Well,
no one coerced her.
It didn't take much. She heard the melee and was like, I wonder what's going on there.
Melee. Yeah. That shit made me uncomfortable, D.
That's just a normal Saturday night for me. Actually, it was a little mellow, to be honest with you.
That was mellow.
A little bit. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in to the Scotland Center Show. Once again, I'm Derrick Pierce.
Dude Love, Cactus Kip, Kip Foley. Mick Foley's the man, y'all. Love that guy.
Click subscribe. Tell your friends about your friends so we can all be friends.
Absolutely.
Follow us.
Love.